The silent screen, the deep space monitoring station orbiting. Luna had been quiet for weeks. Dr. Sarah Chun adjusted her headphones for the 100th time that shift, listening to the endless static that filled the void between stars. As Earth's primary xenological communication specialist, she had spent 5 years of her life waiting for this moment. The moment when humanity would finally hear from someone else in the universe, at 3:47 Universal Time. That moment arrived. The signal came through the quantum relay array like a whisper in a thunderstorm. At first, Sarah thought it was just another solar flare or cosmic interference. But as she isolated the frequency and ran it through the translation protocols, her blood ran cold. The pattern was too complex, too structured to be natural. This was artificial. This was intelligent. This was alien. The message took 18 hours to decode, and when the translation finally appeared on her screen, Sarah's hands trembled as she reached for the emergency communication link to Earth Command. The words were simple, desperate, and terrifying in their implications. We are the Zephyrian Alliance. Our worlds burn. Our people die. The Devourers come for us all. If anyone receives this message, please help us. We have fought for 50 years. We cannot fight much longer. Coordinates follow. May the stars have mercy on us all. Captain Ilana Vasquez stood at attention in the War Council chamber deep beneath Geneva. The emergency session had been called within hours of the signal's discovery, bringing together the most powerful leaders on Earth. The chamber buzzed with tension as representatives from every major nation debated humanity's response to the first confirmed alien contact in history. This could be a trap, argued General Morrison, his weathered face skeptical. We know nothing about these aliens or their enemies. Why should we risk human lives for strangers? Because it's the right thing to do, Elena replied firmly. The Zephyrians are dying. They're asking for help, not demanding it. If we ignore this, we'll have to live with the knowledge that we let an entire civilization perish. The debate raged for hours. Politicians worried about the cost. Military leaders questioned the wisdom of engaging an unknown enemy. Scientists begged for the opportunity to make contact with another intelligent species. Through it all, Elena stood quietly, waiting for her moment to speak. She had risen through the ranks of the United Earth Defense Corps through merit and determination. Born in the orbital colonies above Mars, she understood what it meant to survive in hostile environments. She had commanded successful missions against asteroid pirates and deep space raiders. But this would be different. This would test everything humanity had built in the century since they first reached the stars. The signal came from the Kepler system, Helena finally said when the room fell quiet. It's 47 light years from Earth. Our fastest ships can make the journey in 6 months using the new quantum fold drives. We have the technology. We have the ships. The question is whether we have the courage. President Chun, Sarah's aunt, and the current leader of the Earth Council leaned forward. What are you proposing, Captain? Send the fleet, Elena said without hesitation. Not just a diplomatic mission or a small task force. Send everything we have. If these devourers are as dangerous as the message suggests, the Zephyrians will need every ship we can spare. The room erupted in debate once again. Some called her plan reckless. Others questioned whether humanity was ready for interstellar war. But Elena had seen the desperation in that translated message. She knew the sound of a species facing extinction. 3 weeks later, the largest military force in human history assembled in Earth orbit. The fleet consisted of 200 ships, from massive dreadnought carriers to agile destroyers and support vessels. 30,000 military personnel and 10,000 civilian specialists prepared for a journey that would change the course of human history. Elena stood on the bridge of the flagship, Prometheus, watching Earth shrink in the viewscreen. Her crew worked with quiet efficiency around her, preparing for the quantum fold jump that would carry them across the galaxy. Chief Engineer Rodriguez reported that all systems were green. Navigation Officer Park confirmed their course to the Kepler system. Medical Officer Kim ran final checks on the stasis pods that would preserve most of the crew during the long journey. Captain, Communications Officer Blake called from his station. We're receiving final authorization from Earth Command. Elena nodded. She thought about her sister Maria, who had begged her not to go. She thought about her nephew David, only 8 years old, who had made her promise to bring back pictures of aliens. She thought about the billions of people on Earth who were counting on them to represent humanity with honor. All ships, this is Captain Vasquez, she broadcast to the fleet. Today we leave Earth not as Americans or Chinese or Europeans, but as humans. We go to the stars not to conquer, but to help. We face the unknown not with fear, but with hope. In 6 months, we will arrive at the Kepler system. Whatever we find there, we will face it together. The quantum fold drives activated simultaneously across the fleet. Space twisted and folded around them as they disappeared from Earth's solar system, carrying humanity's hopes and fears toward distant stars. The journey took longer than expected. Technical problems with the fold drives forced the fleet to drop out of quantum space twice for repairs. During the long months of travel, Elena worked tirelessly to prepare her people for what they might find. Combat drills became routine. Cultural sensitivity training helped humans understand how to interact with alien minds. Psychological counselors worked around the clock to help crew members cope with the stress of the unknown dot as they neared the Kepler system. Long-range sensors began, detecting signs of devastation. Debris fields where planets should have been. Dead ships drifting in the void. The electromagnetic signatures of massive weapons being fired across impossible distances. Captain, Scanner Technician Williams reported, her voice tight with emotion. I'm reading multiple hull breaches on what appears to be civilian vessels. The debris patterns suggest these ships were trying to evacuate when they were destroyed. Elena felt a cold weight settle in her stomach. They were already too late for some, but perhaps not for all. When the human fleet finally dropped out of quantum space at the edge of the Kepler system, the sight that greeted them was worse than their darkest fears. 3 of the system's 7 planets were gone, reduced to asteroid fields. The remaining worlds showed signs of orbital bombardment. Space was filled with the wreckage of a civilization that had fought desperately for survival. This is Captain Vasquez of the Earth vessel Prometheus, Elena broadcast on all frequencies. We received your distress call. We're here to help. Lee? Response came within minutes, transmitted from a hidden base on the system's 4th moon. The voice was alien but unmistakably filled with hope. Earth vessel, this is Commander Thyros of the Zephyrian Defense Force. We ... We did not dare believe anyone would come. Welcome to Kepler. Welcome to hell. Asterisk into the storm. The meeting took place aboard the Zephyrian command ship Haven's Rest, a vessel that showed the scars of 50 years of desperate warfare. Elena and her senior staff shuttled across the void, passing through debris fields that told the story of countless battles. As they approached the alien ship, she marveled at its design. Where human ships were angular and functional, the Zephyrian vessel flowed like water frozen in motion, its hull covered in symbols that seemed to shift in the light. Commander Thyros waited for them in what appeared to be the ship's central chamber. He was tall and slender, with pale blue skin that showed intricate patterns like living tattoos. His eyes were large and expressive, holding depths of sorrow that spoke of losses beyond counting. When he spoke, his voice carried the weight of authority earned through desperate sacrifice. Captain Vasquez, he said, his English heavily accented but clear. I must confess, when our deep space monitors detected your fleet, We feared you were. Another enemy. The galaxy has shown us little kindness these past decades. Elena extended her hand in greeting, a gesture Thyros seemed to understand. We came as soon as we received your message. Tell us about the Devourers. What are we facing? The briefing that followed changed everything Elena thought she knew about the universe. The Devourers, according to Thyros, were not biological creatures, but an ancient artificial intelligence that had awakened from eons of dormancy. They consumed entire worlds, converting matter into more ships, more weapons, more soldiers in their endless campaign of destruction. They appeared without warning 50 years ago, Thyros explained, his patterns flickering with distress. The first world to fall was Zephyr Prime, our capital. 10 billion souls lived there. In 3 days, it was gone, converted into raw materials for their machines. The holographic display showed the progression of the war, world after world falling to the relentless advance. The Zephyrian fleet, once proud and numerous, reduced to a few dozen ships hiding in asteroid fields and empty moons. Of the 47 billion Zephyrians who had lived in the Kepler system, fewer than 2 million remained. How have you survived this long? Asked Colonel Martinez, Elena's tactical officer. By running, Thyros replied without shame. By hiding. By sacrificing everything to save what little we could. We are no longer warriors, Captain Vasquez. We are refugees in our own system. Elena studied the tactical displays, her mind racing. The Devourer fleet was massive, far larger than Earth's entire naval force. But she had noticed something in the battle recordings that gave her hope. They're predictable, she said suddenly. Look at their attack patterns. They use overwhelming force, but they follow the same strategies every time. They expect their enemies to break and run. You speak as if you intend to fight them, Thyros said, his voice mixing hope with disbelief. That's exactly what I intend, Elena replied, but not the way you've been fighting. Not running battles and defensive stands. We're going to take the fight to them. The next few days were a whirlwind of preparation and cultural exchange. Human engineers worked alongside Zephyrian technicians, sharing technology and techniques. The Zephyrians' energy weapons were far more advanced than Earth's kinetic artillery, but human armor and shielding proved surprisingly effective against Devourer attacks. More importantly, the two species began to understand each other. The Zephyrians were naturally peaceful, preferring diplomacy and trade to warfare. Their society valued art, philosophy, and scientific discovery. The long war had nearly broken their spirit, but humanity's arrival rekindled something they had thought lost forever. Your people are strange, Thyros confided to Elena during a brief moment of quiet. You came across the galaxy to help strangers. Your own worlds are safe, yet you risk everything for us. Why? Elena looked out at the stars through the observation port. Because it's who we are. Humans have always been explorers, protectors. We can't stand by and watch someone suffer when we have the power to help. The first test of the human-Zephyrian alliance came sooner than expected. A Devourer scout force of 30 ships entered the system, following energy signatures to their hidden base on Kepler's fourth moon. The combined fleet had less than 6 hours to prepare for battle. Elena's strategy was simple but radical. Instead of meeting the Devourers head-on, the human ships would use hit-and-run tactics, striking fast and disappearing before the enemy could respond. The Zephyrian vessels, with their superior speed and maneuverability, would serve as bait, drawing the Devourers into carefully prepared ambushes. All ships, this is Prometheus Actual, Elena broadcast as the enemy fleet approached. Remember, we're not trying to win this battle. We're trying to learn. Every shot they fire, every maneuver they make, gives us information we can use. Stay sharp, stay alive, and show them what humans can do. The battle was unlike anything in the histories of either species. Human ships darted through the Devourer formation like angry hornets, their kinetic weapons punching through energy shields that had seemed impenetrable. Zephyrian vessels wove elegant patterns around the enemy, their beam weapons carving through armor with surgical precision. The Devourers, for the first time in 50 years, found themselves confused and outmaneuvered. Their artificial intelligence, so effective against predictable opponents, struggled to adapt to the chaotic human tactics. When the scout force finally retreated, they left behind 6 destroyed ships and a wealth of intelligence data. Impossible, breathed Thyros as they reviewed the battle recordings. In 50 years, we had never destroyed more than 1 or 2 of their ships in any engagement. You destroyed 6 in your first battle. We learned from your mistakes, Elena replied, and they learned from your tactics. But they've never faced humans before. We fight differently. We think differently. That's our advantage. But even as they celebrated their small victory, long-range sensors detected a much larger threat approaching. The main Devourer fleet was moving toward their position, drawn by the distress signals from the scout force. Over 300 enemy ships were converging on their location, enough firepower to glass entire continents. We need to evacuate, Thyros said urgently. Gather our people and flee to the outer system. It's our only chance. Elena shook her head. Running won't save you anymore. They know you're here now. They'll hunt you down no matter where you hide. She turned to face the assembled officers, human and Zephyrian alike. It's time to make our stand, here together. Captain, Colonel Martinez said quietly, the odds are impossible. We're outnumbered 10 to 1. The odds have been impossible for 50 years, Elena replied. But impossibility never stopped. Humans before. We came here to help, and that's exactly what we're going to do. Signal all ships, battle stations. This is where we draw the line. As the combined fleet prepared for the battle that would determine the fate of 2 civilizations, Elena stood on the bridge of the Prometheus, watching the stars. Somewhere out there, Earth continued its ancient dance around the sun, unaware that their children were about to fight for the soul of the galaxy. The Devourers were coming. Humanity was ready. In the depths of space, among the ruins of a dying civilization, the greatest battle in the history of 2 worlds was about to begin. And at its heart stood a simple truth that would echo across. The stars. When faced with extinction, courage was not the absence of fear, but the determination to stand and fight despite it. The universe was about to learn what humans meant when they said, "We will not go quietly into that dark night."